Hi, and welcome to the Steps to Success podcast with your host, Brad Way, where we'll be talking about entrepreneurship, personal growth, success, and how to get there. And on this week's episode, I sit down with Patty Price, started her entrepreneurial journey at age 21, and I want you to stick around when I ask her what some of her biggest challenges were. She has a very fascinating story that I know that you'll get a lot of value of. So let's get right to the podcast.
Anything that's going to stump me.
Oh, I'm going to.
You're going to.
I'm going to. That's the hope and the dream of anybody that does interviewing, is that you get that thought-provoking question where it's like, fuck, you got me on that one. That's the idea. No, we're not editing that out either. Patty Price, who is she? Most of the people that are going to be listening to this may know you because that's going to be our initial audience, right? Oh, Patty did an interview. But beyond that, I mean, my hope is that the majority of people won't.
Okay.
So give the 1-2 minute bio on who Patty Price is.
Who am I?
Who is Patty Price?
Who is Patty Price? Well, Patty Price is definitely a hometown girl. I came from Cape Breton originally, so I've been living in Ontario for the last 10 years. Originally from Cape Breton, which of course is the most beautiful place. So I grew up having a lot of different values. I think just being from a very small town, you have small town values. So when I had an opportunity to come to Ontario, Petro Canada said to me, "We have this small town called Nappanee. We think you'd love it." And I came out here, loved it. Like I said, I've been here for 10 years now. Went to school on the East Coast. I do not have a business degree. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree with a major in...
like any great entrepreneur.
Psychology,
right.
Yeah. Oh, any entrepreneur you talk to, they start out at one place and they end up completely different. It's a path they didn't think they'd take.
So whereabouts in Cape Breton did you grow up?
I'm from Sydney.
Sydney. I'm not too familiar. My wife's family's from Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
I just know it's the place I haven't went to yet.
Oh,
and I've heard it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
So when you say that you grew up with a lot of values, what do you mean by that?
So down there, every time you see somebody, it's a conversation. It's not, everybody has time for everybody else. When you see somebody in the street, you stop, you talk to them. You talk to absolutely every person you see. And I think that's where my customer service comes from. Is because if I see somebody, 10 minutes later, you're my best friend.
Right.
We've known each other for however long.
Is that because you've always been best friends because Sydney's so small? Or
Yeah, Sydney is small. There's only 35,000 people there.
Right.
And I think just the way of living is that everybody's a little bit more relaxed, everybody's a little bit more laid back, and everybody's concerned about everybody else's well-being.
I know when I go down east, and it's down east, right? It's not out east.
It's down east.
It's down east. It's slower. I liken it to how even where we live now in Nappanee or Eastern Ontario it's slower compared to Toronto.
Absolutely.
And so it progressively gets a little slower as you move beyond Montreal again. Yes. Towards Sydney.
And that's exactly why I love Nappanee. Is because Nappanee makes me feel like I'm home. Nappanee is home to me.
Right. Oh, that's amazing to hear. And great, obviously, for anybody from Nappanee that they've made you feel that way. Only child, 7 siblings?
No, so there's just me and my brother, my older brother.
So younger sister.
You're a younger sister. Yeah. I'm the youngest in the family. I'm the baby.
I can identify as a younger sister. Not that I'm a younger sister, but I had one. Yeah.
However, I'm I don't even know how to say this. My brot's so calm and laid back, and we need to do this, I'm the authority in the relationship. He's just... How
much older is he than you?
He's 3 years older than me.
3 years older. Yeah, so similar. I'm almost 3 years older. 2 years and 9 months, I think, than my sister. Yeah. So yeah, interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. So when did you move out to Ontario then?
10 years ago.
10 years ago. And that was business related?
It was business related. So I operated a gas bar on what we would call the mainland of Nova Scotia. It was a place called Stewiacke. Yeah. And there was an opportunity when they were building the Petro Canada A&W in Napanee here, there was an opportunity for me to grow my business.
Yeah.
So like I said, as Petro Canada came to me 10 years ago, and they said, we have this great opportunity. It's in Ontario, and everybody in Nova Scotia goes, oh no, it's Toronto. I can't go to Toronto. And they said, no, it's this place called Nappanee. So they flew me out here, and I traveled around for about a week. I fell in love, and I said, this is going to be my new home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So just to back up a little bit, you went to university?
Yes.
Graduated with?
A major in psychology.
Or did you graduate? Some people, entrepreneurs sometimes don't even graduate. But
yes, I did. Yeah. I actually fast-tracked. So I was...
to get out of there quicker?
To get out of there quicker.
Because you couldn't stand it, or because
opportunity? I wanted to get on to something else.
Right.
I knew that, you know what, I have the abilities.
Right.
And I'm very strong-minded. I'm like, I just need to... I'm going to go to school all summer, because why would I do this in 4 years when I can do this in 3?
Understood. Yeah.
So I worked actually full-time at the gas station, and I went to school full-time. And I also volunteered on the weekends at a youth center in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a job, and it was for the Nova Scotia government. And I had a part-time job when I was actually still in school. I hadn't yet graduated. And then an opportunity came up for me to move to Petro Canada. So I took that and kind of left my part-time job. And when I went to Petro Canada, I still hadn't had my graduation ceremony yet through university.
How did you get into a leadership role? You started off at the store as an employee, or how did you progress to within that area? Like what was the journey like there?
So I think that anytime you have a group, and I studied groups when I was in university, is somebody's always going to emerge as a leader. You're always going to have people who want to go that extra step, and who want to lead the group, and who want to be asked the questions, and want to be kind of guiding everybody else. And I think that quickly, as I got into my role and I saw what needed to be done, I was able to help others and guide them in what needed to be done as a cashier. And I'm like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do this. Give that to me, I'll do that. And I just kind of kept on taking more and more and more. And I thought... And
ownership, right? Ownership of a role.
Yeah, it's an ownership role for sure. Yeah. But two is that my parents were self-employed. So I kind of had it in my blood that someday I think I'm eventually going to be my own boss.
So you think that played a big role?
I think so. Because I saw them, and I saw how hard they worked, and I saw how there was lots of times where, it was Christmas Eve, and we were with my parents at work. Yeah. Because
what did they do?
So they had a concession stand, I guess it was called, which was in the local arena.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it was, although our family life, I guess, was a lot different, because there was lots of times where we were with our parents at work, because in the 80s, that if your parents were self-employed, that's what you did. On Saturday morning, you went into work, you sat there, you played, they worked, but you got to see what they were doing in order to provide for your family.
So that actually leads me to my next question would be, like, what was it that you, as a result, learned from your parents from that experience?
I think it was the hard work ethics. Like, I knew what it was like to work really, really hard, but I also knew what it was like that, when payday came, everybody else got paid first, and you were the last person to get paid. So you knew you had to work a little bit harder in order to get that paycheck.
Yeah.
And I also knew, like, what they were able to provide us, but I knew what it took to get there.
What interests you about entrepreneurship then? Like, what was it? Because that sounds awful.
No, it's fabulous. It's not for everybody, though.
I'm kidding, but yeah, no, I get it.
It's not for everybody, but I think it's that people being, what am I trying to say? I guess, leading other people. So that leadership role. So people coming to you and asking questions, and that they depend on you for answers, or they depend on you for something. And also just being able to provide a quality of life for somebody else. So somebody that might have a young family that they need to feed. So you're giving them an opportunity.
Have you always wanted to make a difference in other people's lives?
Yes. I always have. Like I said, I was a youth worker.
Right.
So in that role, I always wanted to make a difference for somebody who maybe didn't have the opportunity.
Right.
So it's about helping others and leading.
Did you identify that going into your entrepreneurship, or is that something that as you've gotten older, you look back and you say, that's why I do what I do? Is it something that's been a journey for you in terms of learning who you are?
Yeah, definitely. It's a learning curve. Like anything, it's a learning curve, and everything changes as you go along your journey in life and your career.
Yeah.
And I think that I didn't realize that that's kind of what I was thinking when I got into it. I just thought, wow, like what a great opportunity, and kind of just jumped in both feet. But as time went on and my skill set grew and my business grew and my team grew and everything was just starting to grow, I started to realize kind of more why I was doing it.
Right. No, I think that's pretty natural. It was, I think, last night or the day before, I read something on Facebook that you had posted. I think you invited me to a group, and I think it was titled something about leadership or growth. That seems to be a very important topic for you these days. Talk to me a little bit more why that's important, and what are you doing in terms of developing your own growth, and what do you do?
Well, I think leadership and growth, I mean, you never want to stop learning. It's something you always want to do. And I think that for me, as my team grows and they get stronger and I give them the abilities and give them the opportunity to grow and learn, I need to grow and learn as well.
Sure.
So I'm growing.
If you want to stay their leader.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. If you want to stay the leader, you still need to grow and you still need to learn. But I think it's important and like I said, leadership isn't for everybody, but there's certain people that possess that skill. And I think it's important that we as leaders, make changes in our own lives to make us stronger and make us more independent and make us able to grow and allow our teams to come to us.
And there's different levels of leadership,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we need them all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need every level of leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, my business is it definitely works on hierarchy. And but I just think that even personally, we grow as people as well. And
Sure.
I mean, I promote a very healthy lifestyle. Like I get up at 4 a.m. every morning. Yeah.
I was up at 4 a.m. this morning.
I saw that.
And I don't know if it was like as a result that I was meeting with you this morning, because I knew that about you. And I had 6 or 7 months ago started that, but I've fallen into getting back up around 6:30, which is kind of normal for me. But this morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, 4 a.m. and I was up working social media from bed and those types of things, but doing something productive. So in terms of growing, do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? What do you do to kind of further your knowledge? You said it, knowledge and learning is important. What do you do to help yourself do that?
Well, there's lots of things I do.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of on the brink of millennial, so social media is really important to me. However, conversations one-on-one, kind of like the one we're having, are important to me.
Yep.
I find that I can learn a lot from sitting down with somebody and talking with somebody, like going out for a coffee, meeting somebody new, talking to that person and see kind of, their values and their beliefs and, what they do in life and what makes them successful.
Right.
So I learn a lot from that.
Right.
But also I find, I'll listen to a podcast every once in a while, maybe, or a audio book when I'm driving.
I'm finding
sometimes.
That's so very important for me.
I'm not a big reader of books. I'm not.
I hated reading.
Yeah.
I was a slow reader. I used to stumble in reading when I had to read out loud in class, all that kind of stuff. So I built up a resistance to even doing it.
Absolutely.
So it's not like I didn't want the knowledge. I just didn't like the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so audiobooks and podcasts have been a lifesaver for me. I'm always on the road, and I'm sure you are too, up and down the highway. Yeah, it's a great way to learn.
I do think it's a really good way to learn, but there's still that conversation with people one-on-one, and then if something tweaks your interest, you have the opportunity to keep asking questions. So
who are your role models and mentors?
Ooh, my role models and mentors. That's a tough one.
Well, then think about that.
I'm going to tell you that clearly I'm a woman in business.
Yeah.
So a lot of the
You are clearly a woman in business.
Yes.
Let's make the record.
I am a woman in business.
Yes.
female entrepreneurs are very much my role model.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for me, it's very important to look up to them. And I can remember when when I first became an entrepreneur, and there was actually a couple women in the business that I'm in, and my business is very, very male dominant.
Do you think, I'm continue on that, but I want to interrupt just quickly. Do you think, and you can answer this at any time, do you think it's changed or is changing? Do you think that there was less women in business at one time and there's more now? Or?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hands down. I think that women make great business people. Like, they make great
I think they might make better business people, quite frankly, in some capacities.
I see
my
it.
observation.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you very much. You know what I mean?
Especially from an HR perspective, and I don't know if not to take away from men, but I don't know if it's because I believe they care more in some capacity.
And that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to look at it. But I know, like, for myself, the industry I'm in is still very male dominant.
Right.
Very male dominant. So for me, I just felt like I really need to make my presence here. I really need to make myself known. I really, really need to work hard to get there.
Because you're a woman?
I was a young woman too.
Yeah.
Because when I first started,
given the industry that you're in, was it kind of like
I
that
said, it's very, like,
motivation chip on your shoulder?
If you go into a gas station, you're like, a lot of the times, you know, somebody would be like, is your boss around? Where is he? Where is he? Because it's a gas station. And then my team will be like, oh, she is, you know, and point out that I'm she.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times in the gas industry, it is very male dominant. So I just felt like I just wanted to make myself known, and I wanted to make my presence in
something
that
to prove.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
I guess, maybe.
I don't think that's a bad thing, by the way.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to use the word something to prove.
Well, you don't have to. I would use that. I would use it something to prove. I believe it's the reason why I got like straight A's in school. I had something to prove.
Yeah.
I wanted to make my parents proud.
Yeah.
Make myself proud.
Yeah.
And weren't motivated by your own inner personal pride.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We all are, I think.
Yeah.
But going back to your question about who were my role models, I can remember being 21, 22 years old, sitting around the table in meetings, and there were a few women in the room. And they were, at that point, they were years older than me, so they were in their 50s, and I'm like, wow, I want to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be that strong. I want to be that independent, and I need to get there. And I just think that at a young age, seeing that and wanting to strive towards that, those were the people that were my role models.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it's so important for yourself to do something even like this, because you're a role model now for many young women.
Thank you.
Right? And I think this is a great opportunity for people to learn. And that's what I hope that people get out of, obviously, doing these podcasts. But, so on a lighter note, what does Patty do for fun?
What does Patty do for fun?
Do you have fun, Patty?
I do have fun. I have fun every day. I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm big into fitness now. This is something. I actually was diagnosed with a very, very rare condition at a very young age, and my outlook on the way I took care of myself personally had changed at a very young age. And I thought, wow, I know I need to eat right. I know I need to do this. And as I got older, I realized, well, I kind of need to exercise too. So now fitness is huge to me. So for fun, I like to work out. Like I like to take care of myself. I like to do that stuff. Mm-hmm. I also have, I'm very close with my family, my friends. I enjoy spending time with them. Mm-hmm. I have 3 godchildren that are just my world. So any chance I get to either hang out with them or talk to them, I definitely kind of take up on that. Yeah. Also, I'm from Cape Breton, and I said, those are my values. Like, I love to bake, I love to cook, I love to do all those things and share with people. I like to share those things with people.
I know fitness for me has been a big step. I'm a big I always say, if you're not growing, you're dying. And unfortunately, I was growing and dying physically by my waistline. People can't see this, but I'm drawing a circle around my waist. And, one of the areas I've always faltered on, because I've prided myself on my growth and development and overall health, from a mental health perspective, financial health, etc. But not done a good job at my physical health. So that's a big challenge for me. It hasn't always been that way. When I was younger, I was able to just stay active in the things I love, like sports. But as I've gotten older, it's been a challenge. So, I've just started to take a step, is my saying, take a step in that journey and not put so much pressure that I have to be perfect, but just try to keep moving forward. And the reason why I bring that up is because I think it's so incredibly important. They're all so closely tied together that if you're faltering on one, it really does affect your mental health and your financial health or capability, etc. So have you found that? That's why I preface it like that for a setup for you to kind of maybe talk a little bit more about it. Like,
absolutely. They all go hand in hand. They all go hand in hand. If you're not taking care of yourself, for one, nobody else is going to take care of you unless you take care of yourself physically.
100%.
And I think that's your first step, is if you're not physically healthy, it's a lot harder for you to be mentally healthy, to be financially healthy. So I think I noticed that too when taking care of my own physical health, is that I have a lot more energy and to spend time doing the things I love to do, to spend more time with my team and helping them out because I'm healthy. I shouldn't say I'm healthy. I'm not healthy. I said that earlier. But because I'm able to work on my physical health.
How about a
healthier version of myself?
Yeah, your best self is, you keep,
absolutely,
always a journey.
Yeah, I mean, eating properly, doing those things like that do take the time, but in the long run, it's gaining you that much more time, that much more energy.
Yeah,
you're able to
energy for sure. From a physical perspective, it's ridiculous, especially when you're eating the right things.
Yes.
Right. How have you grown your business? What's like something tangible from an entrepreneurial standpoint? Advice that you would give business owners, younger business owners, older business owners? I don't think it really matters because we're all at different points and we all can learn from one another. What's a piece of advice that you would give to business owners, entrepreneurs? Every
business is different too, but my main investment that I make is into my team and into my guests, because they're the people. If it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be me.
Who's more important?
Who's more important?
You mentioned two. I want you to name one. Team or customers? They're
both equally as important. Without our guests, we don't have a team. Without our team, we don't have a guest.
All right, I'm going to let you get away with that.
You have to let me get away with that. They're equally as important.
Okay.
However, you do need to invest your time into your team members and, make sure that they're capable of doing what you're expecting them to do, so they can promote the best of them in your facility.
For sure.
To your guests.
Yeah.
But like I said, without your loyal guests that come and they spend their time, their money at your business, then there is.
I think it's a chicken and the egg argument, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah. So I guess we have to figure that one out first before we can really isolate. I'm a firm believer that people come first, your team, and they take care of your customers. That's just the way I was always kind of down the middle. I've gotten a little bit better of stepping over the line and just taking the plunge and picking one on that subject. But I don't think that you're abnormal by any stretch, because I can definitely identify by going down the line, and they're both very important. Number one reason why people fail. Why do you think people fail? We've talked about success and why you've succeeded.
I think the number one reason, I don't know. People need to believe in themselves. I think that you need to believe in yourself, and without that self-believing in self, because you know what? A lot of the times when you're an entrepreneur, you need to be very self-motivating, because you're motivating so many other people to get results and to drive to that next level, that you need to be very self-motivating. So if you don't believe in yourself, you're never going to.
Where does your motivation come from?
Where does my motivation come from? I'm a Cape Bretoner.
We're
full of that.
For sure.
No, I think that...
like self-esteem probably plays into that.
Yeah, I think that, I believe in myself. Like, I believe I can do this. I believe in my team. I believe in my guests. So I know that they're loyal to me. So I think that knowing that and having that base kind of helps me out a lot. There's a reason I mentioned that I like to work out, and I go to a personal trainer. I go to that personal trainer 3 times a week because I need the motivation. Because I'm motivating people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There's a point where sometimes I need somebody to say, you're doing good at this. You need to do this. You need to do this, and push me to the next level.
Sure.
Because you can't be that all the time.
You need a coach.
Yeah, you need a coach as well. So, but I think the fact is that I believe in myself. I believe in my team. I believe in my guests. I believe in my business. I know I can do this.
You're bang on. I think it's so important to have that personal belief in yourself, because failure is inevitable, and you need to be able to pick yourself back up. Absolutely. On that note, what have been some of your bigger challenges?
Well, I did mention my health.
Yeah.
I can talk about my health. Not many people know this story, but I don't mind telling it. So 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with a very, very rare disease. Very rare disease. By the time they caught it, I was very ill, hospitalized. They weren't sure I was going to make it. And I was in business. I had my own business. I'd been in business for 3 months. Okay? 3 months, I hadn't even got my toe wet yet. This is 3 months. So I go and I take the treatment, which was a chemotherapy. So I'm going through this chemotherapy, and the doctor says to me, you can't go back to work. And I thought, what do you mean I can't go back to work? I'm 21 years old.
Like forever, or
for the short term.
Right.
You need to take care of your health.
Okay.
You need to. So you're going to need to sell your business, and you're going to need to. I was like, no, I can't. And he's like, you have to. And I said, no, I can't. I said, I need to go to work. So he threw his hands up in the air, said, you're doing this against my judgment. So what I did was I went back to work. So I come home, I get out of the hospital, go to work in the morning, come home, rest at night, go to work in the morning, come home, rest at night. I did that for 6 months while I was undergoing treatment. And soon enough, I went into remission.
Why did you do that?
Because I had to. Because you know what? In me, I couldn't. I was young, so I had the energy. I had a lot more energy than maybe somebody would have. I would have in my 40s, in my 50s, and I knew that I'd worked really, really hard to get to this point, and I wasn't going to allow something that wasn't in my control to take that away from me. And I thought, I need to do this, so I did. And the doctor looked at me at the 6-month point. He said, I never would have given advice, but that was the best thing you could have done. Because at 21 years old, you were going to sit home. You would have cried yourself to sleep every night. You would have felt sorry for yourself, and you weren't going to give yourself that opportunity. And I didn't. Yeah,
it was the right medicine for you.
It was the right medicine for me. And from that point on, I knew I could do anything. Anything that was going to be thrown at me, I could do it because I did that. And that was 15 years ago. I had a team of 4 people. My store it wasn't even 200 square feet. It was so small. And now here I am in, Ontario. I have a team of 85 people. I've got the most 2 beautiful stores, I think, in Ontario. And I just keep going. And if it wasn't for me making that decision 15 years ago, I don't think it would have led to my success now.
That's an incredible story. It's a great way to kind of wrap things up, I think. So I have a few questions, just kind of a rapid fire kind of round.
Sure.
A little more lighthearted than so deep. What's your favorite word? Go for it.
My favorite word.
remember, honesty and transparency and authenticity is very important.
Is this online?
This will be online.
Okay. My favorite word is believe.
Believe. That's a safe one. I like it. Yeah, I like that one. What makes you most happy?
What makes me most happy? I think life in general makes me most happy.
What would you like to attempt that you haven't?
Like to attend that I haven't.
Attempt.
Oh, attempt. Sorry.
Or attend. I mean, hey, that's great. Like a concert. No, attempt.
Oh, attempt that I haven't. I don't know. You stumped me on that one. I'm really stumped.
Something that pushes me is fear. I always want to face my fears. So jumping out of a plane is one for me.
No. See, I would never jump out
You'd
of a plane.
never do
That's
that.
Crazy.
I'm circling back. Favorite curse word?
Oh, jeez. Okay. We all know it's the F word. Okay, I'm from Cape Breton.
Okay. Fuck. What are you not very good at?
What am I not very good at? I'm a terrible speller.
Me too.
I'm a terrible speller.
Terrible. I've gotten a lot better. Writing, I've gotten better. My English, this is supposed to be rapid fire, but I'm a conversationalist. When I was in high school, I made enriched English. It's a joke. Like, I mean, this kid in enriched English. Anyways, I was a good bullshitter, probably is why I made it there in grade 9. But the teacher on parent-teacher night said, I don't know how Brad's in this class, but I'm glad he is. What a compliment, really. I mean, it was kind of one of those backhanded ones, but it was pretty awesome. I suck at spelling. I've gotten better. On a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you?
Oh, I'm awfully strange.
Because?
I'm really weird. I'm just weird.
So you're saying 1, or are you saying maybe 3 or 4?
Don't even put me at 3 or 4. I'd
Wow.
probably be 1.
Really? Okay.
A little strange.
Okay. That's another
Strange
podcast.
to Ontario.
Yeah, maybe another podcast. But are you clean or messy?
Oh my goodness, I'm a clean freak.
A clean freak.
Obsessive.
In every business and personal?
In business and personal. I'm pretty sure anybody listening to this podcast that has been to my business or my home already knows that about me.
Right.
It's
pretty clear when you go to someone's home.
Yes.
Tell me something that's true that almost nobody knows about you. I want someone that knows you really well to go, wow, I didn't know that about Patty.
Something that's true about me that not many people know. I'm kind of an open book. I tell everybody everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, you still passed, Patty. I mean, that was a solid 8 out of 10.
Am I going to get invited back here?
I would love to have you back. Okay. Would you come back?
I would definitely come back.
Has this been fun? Yeah. I appreciate your time. I mean, it's been a lot of fun for me. I get a lot out of this. Going back to your earlier comment, it's all about growth for me, and I find I do my best growing when I'm around people like you. So thanks so much.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me on this week's episode. I really appreciate you taking the time. If before you go, you could just quickly leave me some feedback, I'd really appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. Just remember, success comes one step at a time.